It's been 4 months since the 2018 iPad Pro was released, and many of you have been holding off on buying one. Maybe it's just too expensive and you're waiting for it to go on sale, or maybe you've heard some good things and some bad things about the new iPad Pro, and you're waiting to hear if the iPad experience is actually improved in the real world compared to an old iPad or iPad Pro. So let's talk about my experience with some of the best and most controversial features, as well as some of the drawbacks of the new iPad Pro after 4 months. First off, it feels like no iPad you've ever used before. Even the 2017 iPad Pro doesn't come close in terms of design. The display's all new rounded corners make it feel like a part of the future, and after spending 4 months with it, I don't think I could ever go back to a Touch ID packing iPad. Face ID works better than on any iPhone, since it works in literally any orientation, even upside down. After a while, you sort of forget that Face ID is even there, since there's no notch at all, so it seems to work like magic. Some people refuse to buy it because of the lack of Touch ID, but Face ID works flawlessly. Trust me, you won't miss Touch ID. The 4-speaker stereo system sounds incredible, just like it did on the last iPad Pro. iPads with only one set of speakers on the bottom simply can't compete. Seriously guys, every aspect of the iPad Pro's design has been perfected. From the Apple Pencil 2 and the new Smart Keyboard, which I'll talk about in just a minute, everything is finally perfect, in my opinion. For others, not so much, so let's get right into some of those controversial changes and what I think about them. The biggest one is the removal of the headphone jack. I personally don't care at all, since I haven't even laid a hand on a set of wired earbuds in over 2 years, ever since I got my AirPods, and they're so great that I can never go back. Of course, I understand that not everyone has AirPods, but if you can afford this iPad Pro, I'm pretty sure you can afford AirPods, and trust me, you won't regret your purchase. For everyone else, Apple sells a super cheap $9 adapter on their website. It's a bit inconvenient, but it does the job. Now let's talk about bendgate. After 4 months of use, this iPad Pro is still perfectly flat, and I'm pretty sure that most people won't experience any issues at all. However, a small percentage probably will, especially those who aren't very careful with their stuff. I honestly think the issues are just way over exaggerated thanks to all the bend test videos on YouTube. USB-C is awesome, but it honestly doesn't make the iPad Pro any more of a computer than the 2017 Pro. The file manager sucks, and you can't connect and edit files directly from an external storage drive. The reality of the whole computer dilemma is that most people are just going to be doing things like watching movies, using the pencil, using apps, playing games, and doing business or schoolwork. And for those people, the limitations of USB-C on the iPad Pro really don't matter. However, my favorite part about USB-C is that you can use your MacBook charging cable to charge it, freeing up a wall plug. A lot of people complain that the new iPad Pro still doesn't have an OLED display, but it'll drive up the price even higher since Apple is currently reliant on Samsung for OLED displays. And Apple would also have to ditch the iPad Pro's ProMotion technology, which doubles the display's refresh rate to 120Hz for buttery smooth interactions, including drastically reducing Apple Pencil lag. So don't expect to get OLED until Apple can find a way to get ProMotion on an OLED display. Speaking of the new Apple Pencil, its new method of wireless charging makes the old Apple Pencil seem like an unfinished product. The new Apple Pencil feels solid and perfected, especially thanks to its new double tap feature, which seriously makes a world of a difference in terms of productivity. The new Smart Keyboard Folio is now completely flat and smooth on both sides, so it now looks incredible compared to the old humpback keyboard. And it also offers protection for the display as well. There are some downsides, like being able to feel the keys when the Folio is folded back and not being able to prop the display up in theater mode, but that doesn't bother me personally. Finally, let's talk about performance. Many of you already know that the 2018 iPad Pro packs the most powerful mobile chip ever, but what you don't know is if it really matters. After using it for 4 months, it's hard to tell much of a difference between this and last year's iPad Pro, even though it doubled many benchmark scores. For many years, iOS software developers have been creating apps and games that can run on much weaker devices to support more of the market, and the new iPad Pro's performance truly took everyone by surprise. We simply don't have very many apps and games that can use even half of the potential of the iPad Pro. And at this rate, we're going to be waiting a year or more until we start seeing a lot of apps and games that'll be limited by the performance of, let's say, the 2018 iPad and its A10 chip. If you guys watched our 1-year review of the regular iPad, you'd know that it's good enough for most people. If you're one of those people who can take advantage of the performance, definitely buy it over the regular iPad or even the 2017 iPad Pro. And of course, there are a lot of people who don't actually need all of that performance. They just want the best that Apple has to offer, and they're okay dishing out the cash for it. Now, if you're somebody in the middle, I'd say that after spending 4 months with the new iPad Pro, just all of the design updates alone without considering the massive performance are worth paying the extra cash over the 2017 iPad Pro or any high-end Android tablet. You've got to think about the future, and it's much better to have all of that powerful hardware right now and wait for the software side to catch up than not have it when you eventually will really need it. This has been Vadim with Max Tech. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Peace.